Is it better to buy or lease a vehicle in retirement? Stick around, let's find out. Hello and welcome to another video from One Up Financial. I am your host, Eric Persogna, here to help you increase income, reduce taxes, and invest smarter in retirement. In the personal finance community, leasing versus buying is as divisive a topic as the active versus passive investment debate. Everyone has their own reason as to why their buy or lease philosophy is the right one. And what makes the decision even more challenging is that each side has valid support for their claims. Which one should you choose? Just like no one investment strategy is the same for everyone, deciding whether to buy or lease a vehicle is really specific to the consumer. For starters, let's talk a little bit about leasing. One of the biggest benefits to leasing a vehicle is the lower monthly cost. Considering you're just renting that car for a specific period of time from the dealership, your monthly cost is generally going to be lower than if you were to purchase that vehicle. It's pretty straightforward. Another benefit to leasing is the minimal to zero down payment on the car. So if you're someone who'd prefer to kind of hold on to your cash or are still building that emergency fund, leasing may not require you to put any money down at signing. Leases also typically come with some kind of warranty. Usually the dealership will offer a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty when it covers some of those repair and maintenance costs that comes with the lease. This benefits those who don't necessarily want to worry about large out-of-pocket repair costs that sometimes come with owning a vehicle. Lastly, leaseholders can enjoy the luxury of having a new car every few years or whenever their lease is up. So for those people out there who just like to have that new model every 2 or 3 years, leasing generally tends to be the better option. Now, the drawbacks to leasing. One of the most obvious is that yes, you do get a new vehicle every 2 or 3 years, but that vehicle comes with a monthly payment. So by leasing, you're in a sense choosing to always have a monthly payment in retirement. Additionally, leases come with annual mileage limitations that range between 10 to 15,000 miles per year. And if you go over that amount, you'll be charged a fee per mile in excess over that annual allotment. You may also incur additional insurance costs for gap insurance, which is kind of an add-on to the lease, and it will help protect you if, let's say, your vehicle was stolen or totaled and the value of that at the time is less than what you still owe on the lease. Gap insurance will kind of cover that portion. What to know about leasing in 2021. So leases aren't always quoted in terms of interest rates. When you buy a car, you go and shop for a loan. Those loans come in the form of an interest rate, right? 2, 3, 4%. Leases are quoted in terms of what's called a money factor. So if you want to determine what the equivalent interest rate is on your lease, simply take whatever the money factor is that the dealership is quoting you. Let's say, for example, it's 0.00125. You take your money factor and you multiply it by 2,400. That will give you a rough estimate of what the annual interest rate is going to be on that lease. It's always a good number to know. Next thing you're going to want to know is the residual value. This is going to tell you what the expected value of that vehicle will be at the end of the lease. So the higher the expected value, the lower your monthly payment. Lastly, it's important to know what's negotiable on a lease agreement, even though it might be more difficult to negotiate on leasing a vehicle in 2021. Some negotiable lease items include the cost of the lease, or what's sometimes referred to as the capitalized cost, the annual mileage limitations, and the buyout price. So if you decide at the end of the lease term that you want to purchase that vehicle, you can sometimes negotiate what the buyout price will be at the end of the lease term. Next, let's talk a little bit about purchasing a vehicle in retirement. When you purchase an asset, whether it be a piece of real estate or a brand new Lexus, you own that asset. It is yours. And that ownership yields several benefits. For one, your monthly payments stop at the end of the loan term. This assumes that you took out a loan to purchase that vehicle. Going the route of buying a car you're choosing to, in a sense, not always have a monthly car payment. Put an asterisk around that comment and I'll get to it later and explain what I mean by that. Owning a car also means you have no mileage limitation. So if you plan to go on the Griswold family vacation to Wally World every year across the country, then owning a car, buying a car might be better fit, considering you're more likely to go well over that 10 to 15,000 miles per year. And even though cars are considered one of the worst financial assets in the world, considering that as soon as you drive that vehicle off the lot, it loses anywhere between 15 to 20% of its value, you still own an asset. You still have something of value at the end of your loan term that you can decide to either trade in for cash or trade in for another vehicle if you choose. Now, the downside to vehicle ownership: higher monthly payments. Again, this assumes that you're borrowing to purchase the vehicle. And considering you're accounting for the full value of that car compared to just a portion of it when you lease, your monthly payment more than likely is going to be higher. You also might be required to put some money down when you purchase that car. Obviously, the more money you put down, the lower your monthly payment. For those with sufficient emergency funds and an abundance of cash, this might not be an issue. But for others who are still building that emergency fund or who prefer to keep their money invested in the market, then buying might be a harder pill to swallow if it requires you to put some cash down. Finally, you're responsible for all of the long-term repair and maintenance costs on that vehicle when you own the car. And based on a recent study done by AARP, the annual cost of owning a vehicle comes to around 9 cents per mile. So if you drive, let's say, 11,500 miles per year, which is the average mileage driven in the state of Pennsylvania, then your estimated total annual maintenance cost for owning that car comes to around $1,000 each year, or roughly $83 per month. When I said earlier that you're choosing to not always have a car payment when you decide to buy, it isn't necessarily the case, because you're always going to have those repair and maintenance costs, which again come to around $1,000 a year in the state of Pennsylvania on average. Now, what to know about buying a car in 2021? Although I believe it to be transitory, dealerships are starting to look like barren wastelands these days, making it very much a seller's market. So I guess if you don't absolutely have to buy a car in 2021, you may consider holding off a bit until things start to normalize, prices come down a bit, and the supply chains come back online. The Fed appears to be in no hurry to raise interest rates anytime soon. So whether you decide to buy or lease a car, the chances are that interest rates are still going to be near rock bottom in 2022. And if you decide to pay cash for a vehicle, you should always understand what your opportunity cost is for doing so. By that I mean what your money could be doing instead of sitting in a hunk of metal on 4 wheels. For example, a piece of investment real estate generating rental income, a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. Whatever it is, it's always good to know what your hurdle rate is, or the minimum required rate of return on a specific investment. So for example, let's assume you have just a standard investment account that's earning a modest 4% in the market, diversified between stocks and bonds. And you decide to pay cash for a brand new Infiniti when instead you have the option to finance it over a 60-month period at a rate of 3%. So by choosing to pay cash for the car, you're in a sense losing 1% each year for 5 years, because you're taking that money out of something earning 4% and putting it into a vehicle. Should you buy or lease a car in retirement? Even though I absolutely hate this answer, the truth is it really does depend on each person and their personal financial situation. So if you're someone who likes to have a new car every few years, if you're someone who doesn't want to worry about ongoing repair and maintenance costs, and you don't necessarily drive 10 to 15,000 miles per year, and most importantly, you've accounted for some kind of lease car payment in your retirement plan, then leasing might be the better option to go. If on the other hand, you're someone who just likes to own assets, likes to own your cars, you take really good care of your vehicles, you don't want to have any kind of constraints whatsoever when you drive that car each year. And again, more importantly, you have some kind of budget for repair and maintenance costs built in to your retirement plan that's indexed for inflation, then buying a car might be better fit for you. At One-Up Financial, I hope you understand that managing investments, planning for retirement, and minimizing taxes is just the tip of the iceberg for what we do. Every video I talk about increase income, reduce taxes, and invest smarter. But in order to do that effectively, that requires us to be personal financial experts to guide our clients through major financial decisions that they encounter in retirement. And that includes buying or leasing a vehicle, which, if done right, can save you thousands of dollars just by being informed and working with a trusted advisor along the way. Thanks as always for watching our videos. If you're interested in staying up to date with our market and financial commentary, please subscribe to our blog at oneupfinancial.com/blog. This video will be posted there in video format as well as blog format for those who prefer to read as opposed to watch. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.